When you spend over $1 million on a modern New Zealand home, you're buying a highly complex, delicate system with absolutely zero instructions. And that is a deliberate transfer of future liability. Instead of a simple manual, the building industry leaves you completely in the dark, hiding critical service rules behind paywalls and unreadable fine print to protect themselves when your walls start to rot. Think about how absurd this is. If you buy a simple $50 kitchen toaster, it comes with a physical, cleanly formatted user manual telling you exactly how to operate it, clean it, and keep your warranty valid. If you buy a cheap second-hand car, it comes with an owner's manual and a service logbook. Under New Zealand law, you must take it for regular warrant of fitness checks, and you don't have to pay a single dollar to find out its safety rating or emissions. The manufacturer provides that to the public for free. But when you buy a house, which is almost always your single largest financial asset, the system changes. You receive absolutely no instructions, no simplified manual, no service book, no troubleshooting guide. In this video, we're going to expose the shoebox conspiracy, how builders legally comply with the law by dumping a chaotic pile of unreadable, conflicting brochures on your kitchen bench, solely to protect themselves from future liability. And we will dissect the legal mechanism of how our consumer protection laws were systematically inverted to shift the entire burden of technical structural maintenance onto your shoulders. But before we unpack this, I want to make one thing absolutely clear. This is not an attack on the people working in our industry. If you're a builder, a subcontractor, a designer, or even a frontline officer at a local council, you are not the enemy here. We are all forced to operate within the exact same system, complying with rules and liabilities that none of us actually designed. When builders hand over a box of pamphlets, or when council workers enforce rigid codes, they are simply trying to survive a broken framework. This video is not about pointing fingers at the players, it's about exposing the flaws in the game itself. So let's start with the legal illusion of the post-building handover. If you talk to any major building company or industry official, they will immediately get defensive and say, but we do provide maintenance information. The law requires us to. And technically, they're correct. Under Section 362T of the Building Act 2004, which was introduced as part of the Consumer Protection Reforms in 2015, residential building contractors are legally required to provide maintenance information to their clients upon the completion of any building work. But look at how this law operates in the real world. Instead of the cohesive, user-friendly homeowner service manual, builders comply with this rule by literally dumping a cardboard shoebox or a generic plastic ring binder stuffed with 50 different unreadable manufacturer product pamphlets on your kitchen bench. You're left to sift through a 40-page highly technical cladding manual from one company, a roofing pamphlet from another, a window joint sealant sheet from a third, and somehow construct your own chronological annual maintenance schedule. It's unreadable, overwhelming, and practically useless for a layperson. But this shoebox is not designed to help you. It's designed to protect the builder and the manufacturers from future liabilities. Inside those unreadable pamphlets is a massive legal minefield of hidden clauses and conditions. For example, almost every major cladding, joint sealant, and roofing manufacturer in New Zealand has a clause in their fine print that says this warranty is only valid if the building owner conducts annual visual inspections, rakes out and replaces cracked sealant joints, and washes down the cladding with clean water every 6 to 12 months to remove salt and dirt built up. Let's look at two prominent examples that show the real-world operational requirements expected of homeowners. Let's start with James Hardy's specification for the popular style and linear weatherboard. Under Section 8 of the official technical manual, they outline three very strict requirements for care and maintenance. First, they specify that you must wash down all exterior surfaces every 6 to 12 months using low-pressure water and a brush. If you live in an extreme coastal sea spray zone, you have to do this every 3 to 4 months. And they explicitly warn, do not use water blaster. Second, they require you to carry out regular inspections and repairs of your cladding joints, your sealants, fillers, and flashings. And third, here is the legal trap. The warranty document states that any claim is strictly subject to the product being installed and maintained in exact accordance with this technical literature. If you can't prove you did those regular washdowns and inspections, the warranty is void. Now let's look at Resilient Construction Systems and their maintenance guide for plaster cladding. Under the official My Home Maintenance program, they require homeowners to check all exterior sealant junctions every single year. The raking and resealing clause states that you must check for cracked, missing, or loose sealant, and that all deteriorated sealant must be completely removed and replaced. To make this clear, they even provide a physical table in their guide. It shows that every 12 months, you must personally inspect every window perimeter, every pipe penetration, every control joint, and even your ground to cladding clearances. If anything has degraded, the onus is on you to scrape it out and replace it. If your home's cladding fades or starts leaking after 7 years, the manufacturer and the council won't blame the product or the design. They will ask you to produce a physical documented paper trail proving that you've personally climbed up on a ladder, inspected those seals, and conducted your mandatory annual washdown with a soft brush and low pressure water. When you cannot produce that paperwork because you didn't even know it was a requirement, your product warranty is instantly voided. The handover information isn't a user manual, it's a legal transfer of liability. The industry has designed a system where they can wash their hands of any future defects by placing the entire burden of technical complex material maintenance onto the shoulder of the homeowner. To understand how dangerous this liability transfer is for homeowners, we only have to look at the landmark judicial precedent set in New Zealand. In 2024, a massive multi-decade class action lawsuit representing over 140 New Zealand homeowners went all the way to the New Zealand Court of Appeal. The homeowners sued the manufacturing giant James Hardy for billions of dollars, claiming the Harditex cladding system was inherently defective and had caused their home to leak and rot. The Court of Appeal handed down its final judgment, completely dismissing the homeowner's claims and clearing James Hardy of liability. Why did the homeowners lose? The Court of Appeal ruled that while the cladding manufacturer owed a duty of care, the product itself was not inherently defective. Instead, the court concluded that the catastrophic water damage was primarily caused by two things: poor installation by the builders and insufficient poor maintenance by the homeowners, specifically the failure of homeowners to immaculately maintain the paint, joints, and sealants over the years. This decision sent shockwaves through the property sector. The judiciary officially confirmed that if a homeowner doesn't meticulously maintain the delicate chemical junctions of the exterior cladding, they carry the entire financial risk of structural collapse. I would have liked to be able to finish this video by offering you a clean, simple solution to this legal trap, but I'm afraid I couldn't find one. The reality is that these issues have incredibly deep roots that require us to completely rewire the base rules of the building liability. It's difficult to trace exactly which regulator or standard writing bodies allowed this compounding chain of legal loopholes to be built in the first place. But what I do know is that we, as taxpayers and ratepayers, are funding the salaries of the very officials tasked with solving these problems. And they're clearly doing a poor job. My hope is that more homeowners, builders, and designers speak up about the systemic failure they're dealing with and directly address the authorities causing them. If the decision makers at the top, who are paid to solve these problems, spend their time adding regulatory complexity and finding clever ways to flee from liability, they are simply incompetent. The only real solution is for those individuals to step down and open the floor to professionals who possess the skills, the morals, and the courage to address the root of our building crisis instead of finding smart ways to cover it up. When the highest court in our country ruled that the responsibility of preventing a home from rotting sits entirely with a layperson on a ladder, the system is fundamentally broken. We have institutionalized a process where multi-dollar corporations can design low-tolerance systems and then blame you for not being a qualified building inspector in your spare time. This legal shift is closely tied to physical failures in our building code and the hidden running cost of home ownership. I've addressed the physical design flaws and the financial math of these maintenance traps in separate videos on this channel, which I will upload very soon. But the immediate takeaway is clear. The purchase price of your home is not its real cost. If we want a building industry that designs for durability rather than legal self-preservation, we need to demand systemic transparency. Our homes are supposed to serve us, not create a lifetime complex of legal liability we cannot afford. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever tried to read through your own property's cladding manuals? Did you even know these warranty conditions existed? As always, thank you for watching. If you enjoy practical New Zealand building and design content like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.